beach life, Central American style. But this is not what life is like for most people in Guatemala and El Salvador. Guatemala is the 5th biggest exporter of coffee and sugar in the world. There is great wealth here, with the highest number of private airplanes and helicopters per head in Central America. But this is a land of huge inequality, where over 50% of children are malnourished.
We saw big shopping centres that could have been anywhere in America, full of expensive cars parked outside. And yet we were travelling into communities and seeing people who were struggling to find enough food to eat.
Indigenous people have been forced from the arable land by large companies and are now attempting to grow food in inhospitable areas. As a result, there is a lack of diversity in the diet, and malnutrition has grown.
We also got to see the clinic that Bethania run there, where they treat children who are malnourished. And we met 2 children there who were receiving treatment, a girl called Sylvia and a boy called Gonzalo. And they were actually aged 2 and 4, but the size of them, you would have thought they were a lot younger. And they were stunted as a result of malnutrition.
Nosotros estamos convencidos que totalmente proyectos como Bethania deberían de ser responsabilidad del Estado y de los gobiernos.
But the government does not have enough money for social programs because it doesn't get enough money from tax.
The government of Guatemala, with a tax burden on only 11% of GDP, is not able is incapable to address the problem of malnutrition. It has to collect more revenues and strengthen their Ministry of Public Health and Public Education and the social services.
One of the reasons that the government can't do that is that they don't have the resources. And maybe that's because wealthy individuals or large companies are just doing everything within their power to avoid paying taxes. And so the tax revenue that the government gets is very, very low.
As it stands, the tax system leans heavily on the poor, who have to pay VAT on food and fuel, while large multinational companies are able to dodge their taxes. It's the same story in neighbouring El Salvador, where the gap between the poor majority and the rich elite is huge. Here, earthquakes, hurricanes and floods are disastrous for the poor and vulnerable.
In El Salvador, we saw communities were being affected by flooding from a river nearby. And yet there was no government investment in flood defences, something that would have really protected those communities.
Francisco Chavez farms shrimps. His farm has been damaged in 4 of the last 5 years by the flooding of the Lempa River. The area has no flood defences because the government says it can't afford the $11 million such defences would cost.
A nosotros los ha perjudicado porque los ha roto, digamos, lo que son las bordas, las compuertas, se los han ido y entonces eso requiere inversión para volver a levantar, para la reconstrucción.
Christian Aid's partner, Procaris, has helped farmers like Francisco restart production after the floods. If tax was collected fairly in El Salvador and distributed to important social projects, the livelihoods of these farmers would be much less precarious.
Nunca habían hecho nada y las obras que han hecho son como muy limitadas y de baja calidad. Ahora hay ofrecimientos de hacer estudios, de hacer un dragado en ciertas partes del río y de la reconstrucción de bordas con mejor calidad y con un diseño más integral. Bueno, es un problema de captación de ingresos por impuestos. La tasa impositiva de aquí es muy baja y solo se va por lo de que es el IVA, que es el 13% y le cae a toda la gente. Hay otros impuestos que los evaden, las grandes empresas y las grandes productoras. Bueno, la gente que genera más recursos por provecho productivo, ¿verdad? Los grandes empresarios.
If we could do something to tackle tax dodging, we could make sure that the government had more resources. The next step is to help the communities organise, to help them advocate, to help them call on the government to give the resources to the right things, the things that are going to make a difference to their lives.